Imagine spending years chasing your wrestling dream, finally getting that long-awaited call from WWE, only to discover that you're actually making less money than someone working at a coffee shop. Then one day, you get released, and suddenly your income explodes. You're making triple, quadruple, sometimes even 10 times what you made inside the biggest wrestling company in the world. It sounds insane, right? But this happens constantly, and the reason is simple. There's a dark side to WWE Developmental that quietly keeps wrestlers financially stuck, creatively restricted, and professionally boxed in until the moment they break free. Only then do they actually start making the kind of money people assume WWE stars earn. The first thing WWE never wants fans to discuss is the shockingly low developmental salaries. Most wrestlers entering NXT aren't signing life-changing deals. They're signing contracts that range somewhere between $25,000 to $50,000 a year. Multiple wrestlers have confirmed this reality publicly. Gigi Dolin, for example, has openly discussed how low the NXT pay system is, calling it barely livable once you factor in relocation, rent, gear, transportation, and living in Orlando, one of the most expensive cities in Florida. Karrion, Kross, and Scarlett Bordeaux went even further. On their appearance on the Coach and Bro show, they confirmed that at one point, some NXT talent were only making around $30,000 a year. Scarlett even revealed that WWE forced her to shut down secondary income sources, the same sources that later made her far more money than her entire WWE run. But why do they make more money? Well, the biggest reason wrestlers make more money after leaving WWE is simple: fewer restrictions. The second they walk out of the company, they gain financial freedom, creative freedom, and personal freedom. Let's start with the topic people dance around publicly: premium content platforms. WWE bans its performers from having OnlyFans-style pages or anything similar, but after release, some of the women who leave go from earning $40,000 a year to six figures per month. Scarlett Bordeaux made more in her first month back on premium platforms than she did in her entire WWE tenure. Mandy Rose famously earned over $1 million in 2023 while outside WWE. Even Toni Storm, right after leaving WWE, made $30,000 within the first hour of launching her premium content. And it isn't just limited to premium platforms. Once wrestlers leave WWE, they finally control their own schedules and bookings. WWE dictates everything during developmental: where you live, when you train, what shows you attend, what content you're allowed to make, and even what merch you can release. Outside WWE, wrestlers become actual independent contractors. They can work anywhere: indie promotions, AEW, Impact, New Japan, Mexico, Europe, podcasts, seminars, conventions, meet and greets, and on top of that, they can name their own price. A wrestler who once made $300 for an indie show can charge anywhere from $1,500 to $4,000 per appearance after leaving WWE. And the wildest part is that this happens even if they barely appeared on WWE TV. Simply having former WWE superstar attached to your name increases your value dramatically because promoters know that label sells tickets. Then there's the personality factor. WWE scripts everything: promos, catchphrases, character direction, even tone and cadence. Many wrestlers who seem bland or robotic in WWE are actually incredibly charismatic and creative, but WWE's scripting limits them to reading lines like they're in a children's cereal commercial. Once they leave, they finally get to express themselves. Matt Cardona is the perfect example. WWE treated him as a mid-card comedy act. After leaving, he reinvented himself as the King of the Indies and became one of the highest paid wrestlers not signed to a major company. Deonna Purrazzo went from barely being used in WWE to becoming one of the top female performers in Impact and one of the highest paid women outside WWE. Outside of that, there are also the third-party platforms WWE bans: Twitch, Cameo, YouTube monetization, Patreon, personal sponsorships, paid signings. All of these are restricted under WWE contracts. But once wrestlers are released, they rush back to these platforms immediately. Zelina Vega had public issues with WWE when the company tried to force her to shut down her Twitch. Paige, now known as Saraya, built an enormous platform through streaming even before AEW. Adam Cole left WWE partly because the company wanted more control over his streaming channel. And this is not just limited to streaming platforms. Wrestlers can control their own brand in a way that WWE never allows. Inside WWE, every wrestler's identity is owned, molded, and restricted by corporate structure. Their ring names, catchphrases, logos, gimmicks, and even the content they post online are either owned outright by WWE or heavily controlled. This limits their ability to build long-term equity around who they are as performers. But outside WWE, they get to choose their ring name, design their own merch, negotiate licensing deals, partner with brands, and create content that reflects their real selves. When someone genuinely connects with fans through authenticity, something WWE rarely encourages, their market value skyrockets. Also, there is almost no direct fan engagement if you are with the WWE. On the indies, wrestlers meet every fan who shows up for autographs, photos, conventions, or meet and greet moments. When fans get to see wrestlers face to face, shake their hands, laugh with them, and hear their stories, they form a deeper bond. That bond translates directly into money, higher merch sales, repeat bookings, fan support on Patreon or Twitch, and more demand from promoters. This is not possible with WWE. Take someone like Lio Rush, for example. In WWE, he was stuck in a managerial role and buried under backstage politics. On the indies, he's one of the most sought-after performers in multiple countries, making more money and having more creative power than he ever had under WWE. For female wrestlers especially, the difference in freedom is even more dramatic. WWE imposes strict controls on how women present themselves. Outside WWE, those restrictions vanish. Many women have publicly said they made more money in 6 months outside WWE than they did in multiple years inside the company. Wrestlers like Buddy Matthews, Mustafa Ali, and Dolph Ziggler found immediate success the moment they left WWE. But amongst all of this, the thing that people often overlook is the mental health and lifestyle improvement that comes with leaving WWE's rigid system. WWE schedules are intense and often unpredictable. NXT trainees may not be traveling weekly like the main roster, but they're still required to train constantly, attend promo classes, do media, film segments, and show up for mandatory appearances. Burnout is common, but when they leave WWE, many of them rediscover their passion and energy, and that renewed enthusiasm translates into better performances, more bookings, and more demand. There's also the simple fact that scarcity creates value. When WWE releases a wrestler, especially during large release cycles, the wrestling world starts buzzing. Fans get curious about where the released wrestler will land, promoters start competing to book them, and this helps the wrestlers rediscover themselves. Matt Cardona reinvented himself as a hardcore, self-aware indie superstar. Bray Wyatt became more creatively experimental after stepping away. Even someone like Rusev, who became Miro in AEW, used his post-WWE freedom to build a brand that better reflected his personality. Reinvention is something WWE rarely allows, and when it does, it often comes with limitations. The indies, however, reward reinvention, especially when fans see a wrestler breaking out of the corporate mold. So what's the bottom line? You see, it isn't just one factor, it's all of them combined. The low developmental salaries, the banned income streams, the lack of creative freedom, the inability to control their name, the restrictions on personal branding, the scripted promos, the inability to take outside bookings, the lack of international opportunities, and the limited merch revenue, all of this traps wrestlers financially. The moment they walk away, they enter a world where they control their career for the first time. They can build their brand, negotiate their value, and fans get wrestlers at their most authentic instead of their most restricted. WWE is a global entertainment giant, but the developmental system isn't built to make everyone rich. It's built to create stars for WWE, not stars for themselves. That's why so many wrestlers only discover their true financial potential after they leave. So the dream of signing up for WWE's developmental contract doesn't pay nearly as well as people think, and until you make it to the main roster, life is bleak. Outside WWE, an entirely different story.